The Woods by Sam Qualiana. A short story from the anthology series Nightmares, Dreams, and the Monsters in Between. Today is June 6, 1957, and I believe with little doubt that my brother, Dorian MacArthur, is dead. Dorian was an intelligent man, a man of sense and reason. He was a professor at the university, but he would tell you that his real calling in this world was to uncover the truth behind legends. He wrote me letters on each expedition, or what he would call them, adventures to expose frauds and hoaxes. I looked forward to his mail. His stories always filled my otherwise boorish life with excitement. He'd travel the world in search of myths and monsters, and I admired him for that. His last expedition, however, was much closer to home, not far from where we grew up. My brother was determined to find the source of a string of disappearances around a forest in Pennsylvania. Through the past few years, the land in question found new ownership. Trees were cut down, and the area was used to expand infrastructure. But for some reason, within a 3,000-acre radius, men repeatedly disappeared or were killed in work-related accidents. The forest was then dubbed Widowmaker Woods. A student of my brother's, Andrew Reedman, went along with him on his journey. There was suspicion that their relationship was more than that of a student and his professor, but I am not one to judge. After all, he is or was my brother. What society made of it didn't matter to me. Despite my laborious career, I put my life on hold, setting out on an expedition of my own to find the answers in the woods. I hired men to aid me in this search, for I feared if I went on my own, I too might not return home. Aaron Reed was the first man I employed. He was an expert hunter and renowned tracker. I was introduced to Aaron by my father, Roger MacArthur. They hunted impala together in Africa in 1951, thus starting a long and fruitful friendship. I knew I could count on Aaron to keep me on the right path, and after all, Father insisted that Mr. Reed join me. Father, too, would have searched for Dorian, if not for his declining health. The poor old man was bedridden most days, battling a losing fight against cancer. The other man on our team was Todd Kemp. He was an academic from the university who specialized in all things odd and unfamiliar, if that is something one can specialize in to begin with. Either way, he was as much immersed with the unusual as he was unusual. Todd was a kind man, though, willing to go great lengths to help find my brother, and I don't recall him ever asking for anything in return. For that, I will always be grateful. Aaron, Todd, and I set out to the woods in search of Dorian and Andrew. The odds were against a positive outcome, but my instincts told me I would see my brother again, alive and well. However, within 4 hours of our journey into the thickets, we stumbled upon a clue that made me lose hope entirely. Aaron crouched to the ground, finding something of interest.
Good God, Lucas, it's an eyeball,
he shouted, lifting a human eye with tongs. No, I cried. Aaron, tell me it's not Dorian's, I begged.
It's not,
he assured.
The eye's brown, Dorian's are blue,
he concluded upon further inspection. Andy, it has to be Andy's, I decided.
Unfortunately, yes, I have to agree with you,
Aaron answered, bagging the eye and handing it off to Todd.
That's odd,
Todd muttered, staring at the eye. What is it, Todd? I asked.
It appears to have bark fragments embedded in the cornea,
Todd replied.
Bark? You don't think that happened just from lying on the forest floor?
Aaron asked.
Yes, bark. I'd hate to make speculation, but I believe this eye was removed with a stick. I could guess any reason for how. He could have walked into a branch. Perhaps he was attacked with one, or any other number of outlandish possibilities. Judging from the looks of it, this was done with force. I don't rule out foul play.
Poor Andy, he was a good kid. Let's not waste any more time. We need to find Dorian. He may still be alive. Why don't we split up and search the area for more clues? Don't wander too far. I'd like to be able to hear each other if we spot something, I said. The men agreed, and we parted our separate ways. Aaron took to the left, I to the right, and Todd straight down the middle. Not long into our investigation, I heard Aaron shouting from a distance.
What the hell was that?
Aaron howled.
What?
I heard Todd question from afar. There was a rustling as if someone was heading steadfast further into the woods.
Wait, Aaron, where are you going?
I heard Todd cry. The clamor stopped and the air filled with an eerie whisper, as if the woods themselves were speaking in another language. Suddenly, the murmurs were interrupted by a chilling scream, and a jolting sensation shot through my entire body. I ran as fast as I could towards the noise, nearly colliding with Todd, as we both came upon the body of Aaron Reed at the same time. Aaron lay crushed under an enormous fallen tree. We gasped in horror at the sight of our damaged friend.
Good God, man.
Todd cried out, checking Aaron's pulse.
He's dead.
He muttered. What could have done this? I asked.
Widowmaker Woods.
Todd whispered to himself.
This is impossible. He saw something, I know he did.
Is it a coincidence that the tree crushed his body? Or is there something far more diabolical behind this? I asked Todd. Todd stared into Aaron's lifeless eyes, struggling to find an answer.
Damn these woods, damn this wicked place.
Todd said with gritted teeth. We should leave here, I mumbled.
Help me get this tree off him.
We both tried with all our might, but we couldn't move the massive sycamore. We quickly resigned from the thought of bringing Aaron back with us. We knew we'd need tools beyond our own to free his body from its current state. Now what? I asked.
Maybe I'm a fool, but I think we should continue the search, or Aaron's death would be in vain.
Todd replied. I agree, we'll come back for Aaron later, but we need to find answers. What was he looking for? I said. In the distance I saw a man, or what I thought was a man. The hideously deformed being tried to gimp away, holding himself up with a large walking stick. He wore crude-looking clothing, mismatched shoes, and a large sack for a hat that covered his long gray hair. Hey, stop! I hollered to the hermit. The old man quivered. He must have thought we didn't see him. He turned to face us, walking closer to reveal the deformities on his face, growing under one eye and over the other. His skin seemed similar to the bark of the trees, the way it cracked and splintered. He swayed his hunched back our way, now close enough to make me feel uncomfortable.
What is it, boy? What do you want from Illtyd?
The man asked. Who's Illtyd? I asked, genuinely confused.
I am, young fool. Now stop wasting my time.
The man revealed. What are you doing here, old hermit? Did you have something to do with this man's death? Do you know of other men that disappeared in these woods recently? I asked, not waiting for an answer between my questions.
No. The question is, what are you doing in my woods? As for your friends, that probably answers my first question. Here for them? Of course. Why would an old man like me know where to find them? No, why would I hurt anyone? Oh, I can barely carry this old body around. How would I have something to do with this man? Or any man? What do I know? Nothing at all.
Illtyd rambled.
Listen, Grandpa, stop playing games and spill the beans.
Todd ordered.
You leave Illtyd alone. You respect your elder son. Maybe Illtyd will tell you the secrets of the woods. Maybe Illtyd will help you. Maybe if you respect Illtyd.
The hermit muttered. What are you talking about? What do you know? I asked.
Illtyd knows everything about the woods. Illtyd can tell you the secrets of the woods.
Illtyd said.
Go on, we're listening.
Todd replied.
Many summers ago, men like yourselves came into Illtyd's woods. The gods were unhappy. The men wanted to build homes for other men, but the woods wanted to make homes for the creatures of the night. Man was angry at the woods. Illtyd was scared. Man tried to take the woods. The woods took the man. Man could not do what he wanted to do. There was a curse sent by the gods that man would die when disturbing the woods. Your friends died because of what man did to the woods. The woods hate man, except for Illtyd. Illtyd will protect a friend, but Illtyd has no friends.
An ancient curse? What a load of crap.
Todd snickered.
Don't make the woods angry at you, young fool. The woods show no mercy.
Illtyd groaned. So you're saying there are creatures in the woods that kill people? I asked skeptically.
No, the woods kill. The woods are alive!
Illtyd bellowed. Thanks, we'll be off now, I said, deciding the man I was talking to was deranged. Todd followed suit, and we made a quick getaway from the madman. That man is crazy, I concluded.
What a weird old hermit. He was insane.
Todd agreed. Let's put as much distance as we can from him, I whispered, looking over my shoulder, weary he may follow us.
Damn good idea, Lucas.
Todd agreed, and so we did. We walked until the sun nearly set on the horizon. I swatted at a thick cluster of mosquitoes. There was more there than I can remember seeing in my entire lifetime. Let's get some rest, Todd. I say we camp here for the night, I suggested, removing my backpack, placing it on the ground.
Sounds like a swell plan, Lucas. I'll get a fire started. Maybe if we burn some grass, we can smoke these damn bugs away.
Todd replied, slapping a mosquito on his neck. We set up camp. Todd quickly made a suitable fire, and to my surprise, his plan of smoking out the insects came to fruition. I laid on my sleeping bag, looking at the stars. Through the thick treetops, I could barely make out the Big Dipper among the constellations. Todd leaned against a tree, poking at the fire with a stick.
I love camping. I used to camp with my dad every weekend before he died. No matter what happened, even if he was sick, he never missed a weekend camping. Being out in the woods sure makes me miss him a lot.
Todd said. I smiled, thinking of memories of my own, and at last our horrid adventure took a brief moment to appear pleasant. Dorian and I would camp every other year or so. We'd go out into the woods somewhere we'd never been before and just wandered around until we found some place to stay for the night. Never a compass or a plan, just adventure. I wish I would have gone with him on this trip. I just want to know what happened to him, I said, letting dread take over my emotions once again.
It wouldn't change anything if you had gone with him. Don't let yourself think that. He could still be out here, alive somewhere. Have faith, friend.
He always had to go looking for trouble. I knew one day it would catch up with him. I'm just not ready for it to be a reality yet, I replied.
Well, get some sleep, partner. We have the whole day tomorrow to worry about Dorian.
Yeah, you're right, I said, closing my eyes, inviting the Sandman to cometh. When I awoke, the dew was thick and the air was cold. The sound of frogs echoed through the forest. The camp smelled of smoke from the ashes that once were our fire. When I transitioned from my morning daze and gained my bearings, I noticed Todd wasn't in sight. Todd, where are you? I called out, confused. I wandered around the area until I got the feeling that something was off. Todd, I shouted once more. Suddenly, I had the realization that I was utterly alone. My stomach dropped and my knees felt weak. I can't die here without knowing what happened to Dorian, I decided. My frightened walk escalated to a jog, and before I knew it, I was running through the woods, searching for Todd. I tripped on something, hitting the ground hard on my chest. The wind knocked out of me and I could barely breathe. I looked in front of me and saw what looked like a bloody spine. I searched my feet to see Todd's backpack, twisted around my ankle. I focused again on the gory spine, which I assumed belonged to an animal. It was then I realized nearby was Todd's glasses, cracked and mangled. Then I saw his hat soaked in blood. As I surveyed the area, I noticed something hanging above me, nearly 30 feet in the air. It was Todd, split and distorted in unspeakable ways. The trees were holding him by the arms, displaying him before me. It was as if they were holding him in their hands, two separate trees, their branches wrapped around him in unnatural ways. It was impossible. I ran and ran as fast as I could, forgetting to breathe. Once I'd put some distance between myself and my deceased friend, I crumbled to my knees and screamed at the top of my lungs. "What do you want from me?" I yelled to the woods. Were they a living entity, capable of understanding me? Was it the woods that were doing this to me? Had I gone mad? A white light filled my vision and I fell faint. Perhaps from dehydration, I suddenly passed out. I woke up from a cane knocking me gently in the forehead. I quickly struggled to my feet to find Illtyd standing near me. I pulled the revolver from my waistband and aimed it at him.
"What are you gonna do with that, boy? Shoot me? The woods are angry with you. You didn't leave when Illtyd warned you. Illtyd is angry with you."
The hermit groaned. Staring at the deformed man, I started puzzling everything together in my head. "The woods, the stories, it's all you, isn't it?" I asked.
"Illtyd put the curse on the woods. Illtyd brings life to that which brings death."
He howled. "You killed them, all of them," I decided.
"Illtyd brought life to the curse. The woods killed them. The woods killed your brother."
Illtyd growled. "No, stop. The woods can't kill people. You killed them," I cried out. Illtyd's voice changed to a lower, raspier pitch. I couldn't be certain, but in my recollection I swear his eyes transformed into a shade of green, then blackened entirely.
"The woods kill! The woods kill! The woods kill! The woods kill!"
He screamed, jabbing his staff into the ground. Then the most fantastic of all things happened. The trees started to move all around me. Branches moved like hands, reaching toward me in every direction. I fired my 6-shooter at them, splintering some into pieces. I fired a round into the base of one tree. It bellowed in pain and fell over, nearly crushing me upon its descent. "That's impossible," I yelled as I witnessed the events unfold. Illtyd continued his mad ramblings as I fought the living trees, reloading my revolver and firing off another series of rounds.
The woods are the only ones that accept a broken child. The woods are the only place that Illtyd can call home. Illtyd must protect his family. No man shall steal what Illtyd is given.
The hermit shouted. I aimed my gun at Illtyd, determined there was only one way to end this. I closed my eyes and squeezed the trigger. When I opened them again, Illtyd dropped to his knees, gripping at his chest.
The woods accept a broken child. The woods are the only place that he can call home.
Illtyd muttered, crumbling to the dirt. Then I witnessed something even more remarkable. As Illtyd laid down, the vines, leaves, and branches wrapped around his body, planting him into the earth. His face, the only thing not covered in vegetation, then transformed into the bark, and he no longer resembled a man. The woods stopped moving, the trees let off their attack, and everything in nature went utterly silent. Not a bird nor insect made a sound. The woods were perfectly still, like a photograph. I lifted the curse, I decided, but then I realized if Illtyd was telling the truth, my brother was indeed dead. But will I ever find his body or the remains of Andrew, I wondered. I feared I would never rest until the day I saw my brother again. I'm sorry, Dorian. I'm sorry, I said aloud, hoping that somehow his spirit would hear me. I returned to civilization and told my father about my experience. His response was, if your brother were here, he'd do everything within his power to prove your story wrong. But sometimes even the most amazing stories have truth behind them. Then my father explained to me a tale he knew as a young man, one of a deformed boy who lived in the woods not far from his home, the home where Dorian and I grew up. He reflected on the story of a boy he and his schoolmates tormented, a boy that's name was Illtyd. A shiver trickled down my spine as my father wept before me. A man, in the 40 years I'd been alive, I never witnessed shed a tear. He recollected how cruel they were to that poor young child, how they threw rocks at him and scared him further into isolation. When they grew older, some of father's friends bought up the land and tried to destroy Illtyd's home. And then the evil my father had done finally went punished. Not for revenge, not of malicious intent, but from fear and self-preservation. Because one day a deformed child was cast away from civilization because he was different, and he found sanctuary in the woods, and the woods protected him as if he were their own. I never found Dorian in Widowmaker Woods, and I never spoke of what happened to anyone besides my father. Worst of all, I never forgave myself for killing Illtyd or treating him like he was less of a human than I, because had I walked a mile in his mismatched shoes, I might have come to understand we were never that different after all. Today is June 6, 1997, and I believe with little doubt that my brother Dorian MacArthur is dead, and soon I will see him again.